LPL Group Draw is nearing its head within a day's time as well, so a lot of people will be wondering a lot about it simply because the English broadcast won't be covering it. It's going to be in the Chinese broadcast, and of course the frequently asked questions when the LPL actually start is, how are these groups created? Where did this come from? Why is EDG and RNG never facing off against each other? Why is EDG and WE always in the same damn group? So I think it's best to have just a small video to start to touch on that. So let's get right into it. Now the group draws started in spring 2016 because in the 2015 and before that, it was much like the NALCS system where there was just one group round robin, everybody faces everybody the exact same amount of times, have at it. Now in the 2016 spring split, that changed. They separated Group A, Group B, now known as the Eastern Conference and Western Conference because we are a franchise and we have our city-based system, and it dawned a question of what's fair. Now, pool systems make it fair based off of your past success. So remember, that's 5 group draws in the past since 2016 spring. RNG and EDG, funny enough, has been in Pool 1 4 out of the 5 times that it's been done. So they have been in the finals since 2016 spring 4 times out of the last 5 times. The only other team that's really gone into Pool 1 that isn't EDG and RNG has been WE in 2017 spring when it was the WE versus, I guess it was Summer actually, because they got Pool 1 based off that. So it was WE and RNG in the finals that made that happen. And it was 2016 spring that saw LGD take Pool 1 because, of course, it was EDG versus LGD in 2015 of Summer. So that's what creates this system. So let's immediately get into it. Right dab in the spring groups. So this is what happened last split. Western Conference, Eastern Conference, and as you can see, there's an Invictus Gaming over here, over there. You can see it. It's a black logo, and I couldn't find anything better. And I ain't messing up this space. EDG, RNG, Pool 1, OMG, WE, Invictus Gaming and Suning in Pool 2, Snake, BLG, LGD, Jingdong in Pool 3, and Vici, FPX, Rogue Warriors, and TOP in Pool 4. A lot of people will be asking questions if it's based off of your recent performance. Why is Suning in Pool 2, not Pool 3, based off of that? Well, newbie doesn't exist. There's just a lot of differences based off of franchise being introduced. And remember, because of that, Pool 4 introduced a lot of new teams. So it was a little bit more awkward finding stability because no one even understood which team was actually strong. This team specifically, Rogue Warriors, ended up being a beast. So you got to see a lot of teams kind of just jump out of the pack. And remember, at this time, because of this, a lot of these pool teams were already predetermined based off the fact that they were in the cities to begin with. So a few teams that stand out to me, LGD and Hangzhou, so they were immediately in the Eastern Conference. And in the Western Conference, it was Snake in Chongqing and OMG in Chengdu. So they were already predetermined to be in these groups, and it was the other teams that had to be placed around them. So let's go in towards the summer pools. Because here we have it. Based off of the success of Spring Split, once again, RNG and EDG find themselves in Pool 1, Pool 2. Big surprise, of course, I already mentioned it, was Rogue Warriors jumping from Pool 4 to Pool 2 based off of their performance. Snake's there as well, a little bit of a surprise. BLG, Invictus Gaming, once again, that black dot, if you can see it. Pool 3, WE, major jump down for them. Suning Gaming, FPX, the surprising team as well. Once again, FPX jumped up from Pool 4 to Pool 3. Jingdong. And then in Pool 4 is when we're seeing OMG, LGD, TOP, and Vici. So remember, on the 25th of May, which is tomorrow, based off when I'm making this video, is when we get to draw these teams out of their groups. But because of what I've already mentioned, I already talked about this. Because of the cities, this is already predetermined for a lot of these teams. So the teams that I'm talking about is OMG, now in Pool 4, is already going to be in the Western Conference because they're in Chengdu. Snake in Pool 2, Chongqing, is going to be in the Western Conference. Let's see, who's in Eastern Conference? LGD, Pool 4, are going to be in the Eastern Conference. And now, because we have moved on to the next split, there are 2 new cities for 2 teams. So RNG has the city's capital, the nation's capital, Beijing. So now they are in the Eastern Conference. They were already in the Eastern Conference before, but now they are predetermined before this group draw. They're already going to be moving over there. And the next team, of course, WE going to Xi'an, which is in the Western Conference. So they're not really moving at all. In the spring split, they were in the Western Conference. This time around, they're in the Western Conference. So let's look at the predetermined, the preset groups before the group draw even begins. Boom. Yeah, there we have it. As I mentioned, the 5 teams have been placed. And also one team that you've realized that has already been placed is EDG as well. EDG, because Pool 1 only has 2 teams and RNG has been moved towards Beijing, which is in the Eastern Conference, EDG is now already predetermined to be in the Western Conference. You have 4 teams already decided, 4 out of the 7 teams for the Western Conference and 2 out of the 7 teams in the Eastern Conference. That means that it's going to be a lot easier for the Western Conference. They only have to move around 3 teams in specific groups. Eastern Conference still needs to be fleshed out. And just looking at it as an interesting storyline, RNG and LGD being put in the same damn group again for the last 5 group draws. RNG and EDG, or at least RNG and LGD, have been in the same group. Now, funny enough, combined regular season match records, or game records specifically, is RNG having 14 games to LGD's 6 going up against each other. Now, last split, it was, funny enough, LGD taking 4-2 in terms of the game score, so LGD was ahead of them. But historically, especially because RNG is the reigning MSI champions, you expect RNG to be the top of that group, and you're expecting LGD, because of the last performance and they're a Pool 4 team, to be at the bottom of the group. So it looks like we get to see that get fleshed out a lot more. Western Conference, once again, EDG, OMG, WE, and Snake. OMG is the only real team that you would expect to be on the bottom side of this group, because BLG is the team that last time around was in the top 4. So let's just bounce around the idea of which team still needs to be placed. So Invictus Gaming is a big one. Invictus Gaming in Pool 2. So they could be put into the Western Conference. That can shake things up. That would be incredible. They could be put into the Eastern Conference. Rogue Warriors, once again. BLG, Jingdong, Suning Gaming, FPX, TOP, and Vici. So there are still quite a few teams that can place themselves into the Western Conference or the Eastern Conference. But the biggest thing is that even though there's not going to be that large of a shift between splits, there's still something that can really give it a nudge. So I would say the big things to look out for is Invictus Gaming. If they find themselves into the Western Conference, that can really shake things up. If you see Rogue Warriors and Invictus Gaming going in towards the Eastern Conference, once again, you just basically get the same thing happening in the last split, and Eastern Conference has the higher likelihood of being the tougher group. Remember, Snake is in Pool 2, so you can't get both of those teams into the Western Conference. It's impossible. You can only be one of these teams from Pool 2, BLG, Rogue Warriors, and Invictus Gaming, that goes into the Western Conference. So there you have it. That's about 10 minutes of me just giving you a rundown of what this group draw looks like and what to expect. Come into this one. Hopefully, I'll put the stream out there for you to watch. But if you haven't, you will know what the group draws will be, or at least the result of that, on May 26th. So get that out there. Hope you enjoyed the video. Have a nice day.